Hello and welcome to a review of Apple AirPods second generation. I've probably been using these AirPods for about 6 months now. I've been trying to use them as much as possible to get a really good idea of what they're like, try and find any problems with them, so I can see whether I would recommend them to others such as you. It's important to take into consideration that these new AirPods aren't that much better than the original first generation AirPods. They just have a few new features. Also, I think these AirPods are often undershadowed by the AirPods Pro as they have new features such as noise cancellation and transparency mode, whereas these are just standard AirPods. So these new second generation Apple AirPods do come with extra functionality than the first generation, which includes Hey Siri, which in my personal opinion isn't that useful and I haven't used it very much at all. I'm not a big fan of Siri generally though, I prefer Google Assistant, so I guess that's personal preference. Also, you can now get an optional wireless charging case, which some might find useful if they can wireless charge their phone, then they don't really need any cables, so that's pretty useful for some people, but not everyone. They also have the new H1 chip. The H1 chip means that there's 50% more talk time and twice as fast to switch between devices than the original first generation Apple AirPods. And the 50% more talk time is only really useful if you're going to be talking to people on the phone while using these AirPods. If you're just listening to music, then it won't make much of a difference. But generally, it's just quite a nice new feature to have. It's better for us consumers. You got to remind yourself that this is an Apple product, and I think that's why most or a lot of people will buy this product because it integrates and works seamlessly with the rest of the Apple ecosystem. Also, in my opinion, they do look really good, and I think they're more of a fashion accessory in some cases. Slightly uncharacteristically, Apple have actually made these AirPods customizable so that you can have different gestures to do different things. There are 4 options for when you double tap each AirPod, which are pause/play, Siri, the previous track, or the next track. These gestures normally work great, but sometimes they don't work because it's a little bit fiddly just tapping twice. Sometimes you don't know if it's picked up / or registered your gesture or not. I mean, I think they look good in people's ears, but other people disagree. They say the stems are too long, but personally I think Apple have done a pretty good job with design. I think predominantly the people using or buying AirPods are going to have Apple iPhones. However, I can tell you that AirPods do work fine with Android phones. They pair just fine. Similarly to Apple, without the little animation, they do it without having to go into Bluetooth or anything. It's all automatic, which is brilliant. However, the one downside of using an Android phone is you can't see the battery percentage of the AirPods or the case on the Android phone, so you don't know if they're about to run out of charge or not. They'll just die on you, which is a bit of a pain. Now, let's talk about the price. This is probably the most important thing when deciding whether to buy the Apple AirPods because they are quite expensive. The no wireless charging model is £159.99 on the Apple website, and the one with the wireless charging is £199.99. However, quite often they're being discounted on various sites, especially in the UK, to around the £140 mark, which does make them more affordable, but these are still expensive and premium products. This price is very much reflected in the build quality though. These AirPods are made amazingly, and they just feel like they're not going to break. They're sturdy, and the hinge, when you snap it, makes this amazing click sound, which you just don't get from competitors. One of the few downsides of the Apple AirPods second generation, which is the same as all of the Apple AirPods in fact, is they only offer them in white, which is a bit of an odd decision. You kind of want them to offer them in some kind of matte black finish. They would look really good, but unfortunately you're stuck with white. You don't get any option in it, but they still do look fairly good for the most part. So in my experience, these AirPods tend to stay in my ear very well. I've never had any issues with them falling out or anything like that. I often go out on runs with them, they're fine, and even for like several hours at a time, they stay in, they don't fall out. But I have heard that other people do have issues with these AirPods and they do fall out. It depends on the shape of your ear. On the whole though, if you've used standard Apple earphones in the past, which come supplied with your iPhone, if they fit in your ear fine, then the AirPods should too. They're very similar design and they for me, feel just fine. If you're trying to pick whether you want AirPods with wireless charging or without, my personal advice would be you don't really need it. It's nice to have, and you might really enjoy it, especially if you have an iPhone or another Android phone which is wireless charging enabled. But if you don't, it's not really worth it in my opinion, because you probably won't even have one of the chargers yet, and that'll just make it even more of a big investment. I don't think the technology is fully there yet. You might as well stick to a wired connection because it works. So in conclusion, if you already own the first generation Apple AirPods, there's really no need to upgrade. They're really similar, and it's just not worth the extra money. A lot of people would probably argue that these AirPods are more expensive than similar products on the market, and I agree, they definitely are. You're paying really for the brand, the convenience, and the look. If you like that sort of fashion, iconic Apple. The thing with these AirPods is, if you're walking down the street, people will notice them and likely perhaps even compliment you on them. They are quite a fashion feature. If you're already deep into the Apple ecosystem, say you have an iPhone, maybe an iPad or a Mac, I would definitely recommend these AirPods to you. They'll just work, they'll work all the time, they'll pair instantly. You won't have to be trying to sort them out every now and then. They just work. That's what Apple's so great at. But if you're not an iPhone user, they still work just great, but it's a little bit more difficult to recommend because, for example, you can't see what battery percentage they have left in them. It's stuff like that, the little things which make it harder to recommend. Thanks for watching this short recommendation video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you really liked it, then you could even subscribe. This is one of my first videos. So yeah, let me know what you thought down in the comments section.